Okay, well, let us go and see what happens on Adastra. I hope nothing bad happens. Beetle has completely set by the time we're heading out towards the carriage. Dang, really? Really what? Welcome back, Victor. Beetle has completely set by the time we're heading out towards the carriage. Of course, several delegates surround us as we start to head off, but Amicus promised he'll only be 10 minutes and I head out into the street alone to stand next to the chariot. Oh, Leah, you're playing Fortnite? My gosh, I want to play too now, bitch. maybe when I finish Adastra, if you're up for it, maybe we could play some Fortnite. Damn, everyone's addicted to Fortnite now. I'm kind of addicted. You're welcome. It's a bit nicer out here in the open air compared to the stuffy restaurant. I can tell now that I'm definitely getting sick, and all of the soreness and exhaustion was just the beginning of a creeping fever that I can feel breaking out across my skin. I end up sitting up on the carriage step, head bowed as I feel myself starting to sweat. It's not anything I haven't felt before, but there's an odd prickling sensation underneath it all, like pins and needles just under my skin, leaving me wanting to itch at various places on my body. I just wish Amicus would hurry up. The others too, since I'm the only one standing here. Oh, I saw your message on the Discord about the JJK skin, so I went to check it out, and all of a sudden I was playing. Oh, did you end up gaining it? Yeah. I was like, I should tell people, because maybe some people wants that skin. I ended up buying the emote, not the side shuffle, the other one, I forgot what it's called. But I ended up buying that one, because I was like, I like this one when I was doing it on Lethal. I can't remember when Nefaria and Virginia went someplace shopping, I think. Simeon! Cass's voice is low and quiet to my left, and I glance over to see him leaning up casually against a chariot. I make a half-hearted attempt at bowing at him, sort of just flopping my head in his direction. The wolf glares before walking towards me. What games are you playing? Now is probably the worst time for this to happen. Game? I mumble out stupidly, looking towards the restaurant to see if I can see Amicus through the crowd gathered in front. Do not act stupid. I know you're capable of understanding. I just shake my head, but immediately regret it as I feel all the food that I just eaten roil around in my stomach. I'm really sick, way more than I realized, and I can't believe how hard and fast it's hitting me. Do you remember several weeks back in which you served me during the midday deep meal? Bridget and Farrah were there. I just stick to silence now, worried that moving at all is gonna make me hurl. Of course you remember. You told the Triumphers about what I intended to do with them, didn't you? Cassius moves closer, but the feeling coursing through my body leaves me not caring all that much about him right now. I need to get to Amicus. I need to tell him that something's wrong. I hug myself, feeling the prickling sensation rub to the surface, my skin on my arms and chest and legs burning and itching in the most horrible way. I gasp. What is that? Some sort of simian language? Listen to me. I want to know what you told them, and how you know to tell them. I feel bumps on my arms, bumps that weren't there just a minute ago. I look down, and even though it's hard to see in the darkness, I'm at least able to see that the skin is splotchy and discolored. Shakily, I touch one of the splotches and watch as a tear of clear liquid oozes out. What the hell? Something grabs the front of my robes and pulls me up. Are you listening, pet? I said... I was worried about small movements, but that huge lurch pushes my stomach over the edge, and I immediately projectile vomit straight into the middle of Cassius's torso. We both stare at the mess on his fur, which is starting to drip down heavily onto his garment. Oh gods! Oh gods! The wolf screeches at the same time I vomit again right in the same spot. Cassius immediately stumbles back, screeching as he waves his paws uselessly at the mess, then actually starts to retch himself. That's actually... I'm not able to see if he's actually throwing up too. Instead, I crumple to sit on the ground, feeling the world spin around me. Thankfully, the next thing I hear is Amicus' voice. It sounds like it's coming from far away, even though I can tell that he's crouching right next to me. What did you do to him, Cassius? I did nothing. Ugh. I hear splattering noises. Kenny, what happened? What's wrong? I sway and Amicus lets me lean into him despite my vomit-covered robes. I don't know. What's the food? Are you... I stick out an arm and feel the wolf catch it, delicately examining it. Gods. He mumbles it under his breath. What happened, Acacius? I hear more footsteps, and for some reason, I feel myself becoming embarrassed that everyone's seeing me like this. That barbarian! He vomited on me! It sounds like Cass is about to cry, and for some reason, that's pretty funny to me right now. I tried to laugh, but my throat is so sore. Virginia, he's sick. We need to get him back to the palace. Get in the carriage. Karma's a bitch. It's too slow. I feel the world tilt as I seem to just levitate off the ground, then I realize that Amicus has picked me up. The Praetors have much faster vehicles. We can get one from them. Kenny. I hear his voice, but for some reason I can't respond. It's like a dream. There's no time. I'm running back. Amicus. What's going on? I feel my body bouncing up and down, thrown left and right. It's like I'm in some kind of demented thrill ride. I reach out into the darkness to stop it somehow, but all I feel is something furry and warm. Everything hurts and itches at the same time. What is this? Kenny! Hey, stay with me, I'm here! Who? I force my eyes to open, even though they burn so much. I stare up at the gnarled thing above me and I wonder what they are. All that comes to mind are bony, skinless hands reaching up to the sky. Can you hear me? There's a breathless, wheezing voice above me as the horrible bouncing ride continues. I just want to sleep. There's another sound, an odd droning one, and the earthquake finally stops. Amicus, get in, you fool! Neferu, he's having a seizure. He has pustules all over his body. The voice above me sobs and gasps, and I want to reach up and put a hand over its mouth so that it's quiet so I can sleep. Calm yourself. Virginia's having a physician flown into the palace. You need to... Everything mercifully goes quiet again. I float through a void of quiet, soft black clouds that tickles and nips at my skin. It itches and I want to itch, but something seems to be holding me down. My tummies. I open my eyes slowly, staring up the ceiling. I'm starting to get really annoyed that I can't just fall asleep. I have so much to do tomorrow. We're going on a trip to Naples. I think to try the authentic Italian pizza. I'm gonna have a terrible time if I don't get at least a little. I realize that I can't move. I see fear grips my chest, and at the same time I see something large scuttling up the wall. A giant spider skitters upwards, its movement off like it's a puppet being pulled by the strings. It moves across the ceiling, and even though it's the size of a giant crab, I can't move at all. Adastran arachnids are disturbingly large. I grip my teeth as it comes to stop above my head, then falls straight down onto my face, legs fanned out. Get off! I shove at it, at the things pressing on my face. I told you to hold him down. I'm trying, Kenny, listen to me, please. You're safe, we're helping you. I focus on the monster above me. They're... That's actually Australia. Their massive white teeth and red glowing eyes. Their horrible hands come down to press on me and I feel the prickling pain over my skin. I thrash around, but it's no use. They're too strong. He's having another seizure. I lean against the side of a building on the empty road. The night is peaceful and quiet, mostly quiet. I hear clopping sounds in the distance, galloping sounds. I frown and I lean forward a bit, looking up at the dark road. I see a horse running towards me. Its eyes glow red and spit fires from its mouth. Afraid, I press myself closer to the building, but the horse ignores me. Instead, as it runs past me, I see that it's dragging something. A wolf's headless body, the arms spread out, the stump leaving a long red streak across the cobblestone. I open my mouth to scream. We have nothing on records for his species. Then profile him. Is there a reason why we don't? Just heal him, please. It's just aviapox. Well, clearly it has a different effect on the species. His nervous system is already damaged beyond repair. You should consider... Things never seem to go as planned, do they? I am sorry that you had to experience this. I did not foresee it. Do not worry. You are still on the correct course. You will be able to complete this task. I just need a little time. Understand that this will not be easy, even for the parents. Okay, guys. The pain will be temporary. What's happening? You will know in time, but not yet. Time loses meaning. Blackness, simultaneously eternal and non-existence. Nightmares ebbs and flow, building and fading. Scenes from my earliest childhood to my landing on Adastra, all warped by a horrific and violent imagery that never happened. But as soon as each one ends, I forget, just like any other dream except one. I'm huddled in the seat of the ship, freezing cold, numb with desperation and the fear of impending death. How is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? I glance back at the crumbled form of the wolf in the back of the ship. His head is framed by a pool of blood, the metal pipe just a few feet away where I dropped it. I made a huge mistake. The anger and terror I've been feeling over the past several hours, days, weeks, builds until I scream and smash both of my fists on the glowing panel in front of me. The next thing I know, light blasts the interior of the ship and I cover my face with my hands. Still, the light pierces through and I see blood red. The ship vibrates violently and I know right away that we're being pulled into it. I reach out despite the impossible light, uselessly pounding at the unresponsive panels. After a few moments, the brightness and heat becomes unbearable and I finally throw myself to the floor, crawling away, crawling towards my wolf. Amicus, help! He's the chosen one. He has to go to many temples and offer his prayer to Remil. But the light continues to grow and soon everything is lit up in a blinding white. The heat so intense that the metal melt underneath my hands and knees. I'm on fire. I am fire. I feel lines of molten lead course through from the base of my neck, down my spine, branching out to my limbs, even my toes and fingers. I can only float in the inferno, dumbly wondering why I still feel if I'm dead. Wondering if this is death as the ship, the wolf, and I became part of the star. Once again, time is lost and only exists as fire. I stare up at the sky, the air suddenly cool as I try to comprehend the sudden changes from the harsh, all-consuming starlight to the gentle cold moonlight. Still, fire continues to lance through my head, neck, spine, and limbs in agonizing lines, my body mapped as a torture stick figure. It hurts more than anything I've ever experienced, but it's fading after what happened in the star, so I try to relax in the sand. After a few minutes, I realize I can hear the waves and I feel something drawing me towards the water. I'm a little scared of getting up, and if any moment at all, terrified that it might trigger the pain anew, but it doesn't. It almost feels like I'm not moving at all. I guide towards the water, watching the surface reflect the bright planet and moon in the hypnotic ripples. Entering the lake and feeling the cold, gentle water wash over my skin is the best feeling I've ever felt. It envelops me slowly, moving up my legs, torso, and finally my head. And just like that, the pain and fire is chased away, subdued to a dull, tingling throb. I gasp in relief, somehow able to breathe under the water. I drift through the dark water, watching the glows of light dance and sway above me before I finally resurface. It's only then I remember Amicus. Fear grips me. Was he still on that ship? Did I leave him behind in the star? I look up and see the lights glittering from the palace, and I began to swim towards it, somehow moving much faster than I should be able to. Instead of swimming to the beach though, I end up moving towards the balcony, straight to Amicus's room. As I get closer, I realize that someone is on the balcony. It's Amicus, and my heart fills with relief. He's got his back to the railing, leaning against it casually. Even though I can only see him from behind, I realize that it's not the Amicus I know. Instead, he's in full robes, and he's a lot more skinny than I remember. I slow down, wondering why he's not looking at me with all the splashing noise I'm making. Just as I'm about to call up to him though, I see brown arms wrap around him, smoothing over his arms and back. That's when Amicus turns to the side. I see now that those arms belong to another wolf, smaller and brown furred, one that I've never seen before. Amicus is doing the same to him, paws moving around his body in a way that's awkward and hesitant, a pair of young lovers making out for the first time. I watch, suddenly feeling embarrassed. I'm back in Amicus's room, and at the same teen-age wolf is now on the sofa, bent over, hiding his face behind his paws. I've never seen Amicus really cry, but I can tell that what he's doing now. I feel a sense of complete and utter shame, the feeling that you've let everyone down. It consumes me. I reach out towards the young wolf, wanting to comfort him, wondering if he'll ever know who I am. Suddenly, I'm sucked back into the cosmos. There's no parents this time. Instead, I float peacefully through the vacuum, staring down at what I assume is Adastra. Even though there isn't anyone here with me, I sense beings all around me. I also get a sense of approval, like their work is done. Finish Mira's work, young human. Just like that, I start to drift back and down towards the moon, descending faster and faster until everything becomes a blur. This time, coming to feels real, and I immediately know that I'm not in a dream. I smell lavender. Amicus? My eyes feel like they're glued shut, and I have to rub at them to get them to fully open. The first thing I see is the sky, the planet Anchorus, and the moon Torque, both of them glowing brightly. I stare at the two floating orbs for a while, waiting for things to fall into place as to why I'm out here. I'm laying on something hard like concrete, and I feel soft but weighty things on my chest. My hands are curled around it, and I lift it slowly to have a look, even though it feels like a 50-pound dumbbell. Oops, flowers. Flowers with a fair bit of lavender mixed in. Slowly, I turn my head, and again I get the feeling of heavy weights attached to my body. I somehow manage it and immediately see that I'm in the amphitheater. At the same time, I see more flowers, and I realize that they're arranged all around me in a circle. Moving my head around also makes me realize that there's something scratchy and prickly on my head. Still struggling with my heavy hand, I reach up and grab at it. I lift it from my head and I hold it in front of my face, my eyes taking a few moments to focus to find out that it's a wreath, pink flowers woven into the twigs. I finally drop my arms to the side, getting too tired to hold it up, and I watch it lazily roll a few feet away. The movement sends a wave of tingling through my body, but it fades quickly. The heavy weakness is also starting to fade, but I'm more worried about how I got here and why I'm covered in flowers. From what I can tell, I'm in the gardens, though a part of it I haven't been to before. I close my eyes, trying to remember how I got here. Amicus, the trial of the rhetorics, the restaurant, being sick. Again, I lift my arms, though it's easier this time, and I look at the skin. It's covered in... What the? It's covered in crusty yellowish scabs, though they don't hurt. I don't know why, but I get the feeling that the skin underneath is completely healed. I try to think again. I do remember throwing up on Cassius, but after that, just terrible dreams. Did they heal me somehow? Is this flower thing part of that? I'm feeling some of my strength returning, so I force myself into a sitting position, joints popping and muscles stiffs. Still, with every movement, things gets easier. I do get lightheaded though, and I have to sit there for a moment looking around again, wondering where Amicus is. He sounded so desperate and sad the last time I heard him. I need to show him that I'm okay now. At least, I think I am. I slowly push myself up, listening to the gunshot cracks of my knees as if I hadn't used them for days. I stand unsteadily in the center of the square, looking around at the circle of flowers. I'm startled when I turn and see a wolf behind me, but it's just a sculpture. A male wolf decked out in armor, both his paws raised to the sky. He's got a bunch of flowers weaved around his wrist and on his head too. I wait a few moments, listening for anyone that might be nearby. All I hear are insects around me, so I start to move towards the path that I know leads to the palace. Although I'm pretty sure I'm not dreaming now, this eerie scenario has me questioning that. The whole situation is surreal. All the things that I remember happening last feel so distant. Despite spending all my time on Adastra trying to be covert, I find myself longing to find someone, anyone really. I just need to know what happened, and pretty soon, I do find someone. His back is to me, stooped over, fur almost ghostly in the glow of the garden lights. The cat busies himself with some flowers, a pair of metal clippers in his paws. As I get closer, I can hear him humming just about above the noise of his busy snipping. I'm just opening my mouth when I see his ears perk. Cass, you know I don't like these games. Alex turns to face me, knowing a smile on his lips. That quickly disappears the second he sees me, though, replaced by a look of complete shock. Ah! Whatever he was trying to say doesn't seem to want to come out, and instead he just stands there, gaping at me. Hey. I can barely talk, my voice rasping out like sandpaper on wood. I take a few steps forward, and that's when Alex finally reacts, jumping almost a foot into the air in the backward motions, putting space between us as he yelps. What? What? How? He stutters and stumbles over his words. I've never seen Alex fluster before, but never like... Oh, I've seen Alex fluster before, but never like this. There's real fear in his eyes as he stumbles against some bushes. I wonder if he's going to take off running, but instead he stands there quivering as he holds the clippers up in front of his chest, as if contemplating using them as a weapon. I raise my hand reassuringly. Hey, Alex, it's me. I cough a few times, trying to clear my throat. I see Alex's ears twitch at the sound as he slowly lowers the clippers, though he moves to the side away from the bush, giving himself a clear path to the palace. Kenny? But how? He's staring at me like what he's seeing is impossible. How? What? I remain regaining my voice slowly but surely. What's happening? Alex finally seems to get a hold of himself, fur slowly laying flat again as he eyes me, looking almost suspicious. I could ask you the same thing. This catches me off guard. Why? Well... Alex looked around before focusing on me again, tilting his head as if it's to look at me from a different angle. You were dead. Dead? Well, not completely, but you were in a coma that we were told you would not wake up from. Oh. I looked down at myself as if to confirm that I am indeed alive and well. Aside from the patchy scabs over my arms and legs, I feel okay aside from the grogginess. Honestly, I should write these. You could be the writer for me, Leah, when I make my visual novel. You could be my writer, Leah. I thought the doctor healed me. Alex's ears perk. Doctor? Yeah, do the art, you could do the story. We need an editor. We need someone who could do music. I need someone who could do background. Slowly but surely we'll find people. But that'd be fun. I mean, I think there was a doctor. I heard him when I was brought up back here. Alex's eyes narrow. Amicus told us you were vegetative before he arrived. How did you hear him? I don't know. I might have dreamt it. I was really out of it. If you're still conscious when he arrived, he should have been able to halt the damage caused by the virus. Who was the doctor? With every passing second, I regain more and more of my wits, and Alex's demeanor is confusing me. He thought I was dead, and instead of being happy, I feel like he's interrogating me. That's also when I realized something else. Wait, you all think I'm dead? Well, not me anymore, obviously. This is all very strange. How did you survive exactly? Now the cat's starting to annoy me, and I look past him towards the palace, the situation finally dawning on me. Where's Amicus? The cat is quiet for a moment, as if contemplating something, then quirks his head. I'm not sure. He's been here and there, though I haven't seen him for at least a day. I walk past the cat towards the palace, realizing that what sort of state the wolf might be in. Where are you going? I'm very happy to see you are well. This is all just very sudden and unexpected. I ignore Alex, not really in the mood to figure out why he's acting the way he is. He's making me feel like I'm still dreaming. So I walk quickly, and I'm relieved that he doesn't follow me. The wave of cool air that hits me as I enter the palace is a welcome feeling, and I find myself grateful to be back. Despite having apparently been here the whole time, it really does feel like I've been away for weeks. I pick up at the pace as I head towards Amicus's room, practically jogging. I have to let him know that I'm okay. The short distance to his room seems like it takes longer than it ever has before, and I'm glad I don't run into anyone else on the way. That interaction with Alex was weird, and I don't need a repeat of that right now. I finally make it to his room, and I immediately hear muffled chattering behind it. I don't hesitate though, and I press my hand to the panel. Let me hydrate. The door slides open. Oh, thanks for the stretch. I should do that too. A lot's gonna happen here. Here we go. The door slides open, and instead of the usual blast of even colder air I would often get from Amicus' room, it's stuffy, warm, and the smell a little bit musky. The lights are dimmed, and my heart sinks when I see the empty bed. I linger in the doorway though, something feeling off. The droning chatter is calm, giving what sounds like a monologue on the history of some past emperor. I see wine bottles too, mostly bunched together on top of the bedside table, but there are also a few laying here and there on the floor. Amicus? I call out, starting to become afraid of what I might find. I take a few tentative steps into the room, then I hear a loud snore, and instantly the worrying gripping my chest starts to release. I recognize that sound anywhere. I hurry over to the other side of the bed, where I find my wolf splayed out on the floor, a wine bottle next to his head, only in his underwear. He's clearly asleep or passed out, muzzle hanging wide open as another thunderous snore shakes the floor. Amicus! I crouch down next to him, resting a hand on his chest, trying to shake him awake. His only response is a few more broken snores before drooling out the side of his muzzle. I switch to patting at his face, then grabbing his muzzle and shaking it around, noticing how crusty the fur is, something I've never felt on Amicus before. Amicus! I consider slapping him like I've seen people do in the movies. Then I see the bottle next to his head and decide to go for another approach. I snatch it up and hurry to the bathroom. I hold the bottle under the faucet for a good 5 seconds, letting it fill up with soapy water to the halfway point before I hurry back onto the room. Meanwhile, Calm doesn't seem to notice me, droning on about how this particular emperor was known for having a fondness of orchards. I crouch down next to Amicus again, hesitating for a second as I wonder if maybe I should call Kato. Probably not Kato. Neferu maybe? Just in case Amicus is actually in trouble. I don't know how much a wolf can drink before it can kill them, but the sheer amount of bottles laying around the room worries me. I decide to just go ahead with my plan, and I opened the bottle over Amicus's face. It poured directly into his nose, and he immediately chokes, turning his head this way and that to avoid the stream of bubbly water. I have a moment of wondering if drowning him is the best approach before he suddenly sits up, pawing at his face. Gah! The wolf covers its eyes, and it's only then I realize how irritating the soap might be for them. Oh shit, sorry. Should I get some water from the shower so you can rinse your eyes out? Amicus freezes, still covering his face and slowly lowering his paw to reveal his bleary, bloodshot eyes. He stares at me in a way that he never has before. It's kind of surprised, like Alex had been, but Rather than fear, Amicus simply looks empty, numb. Are you okay? I reach out, but Amicus turns his head away. Away with you, ghosts. Enough of your torment. He keeps his head turned away, eyes closed. Ghost, Amicus, it's me. I reach out and grab his face, and that seems to shock him as he jumps and turns to look right in the eyes. I can tell that he's drunk, very drunk, but there's an extra distant look in his eyes that I don't like. Amicus, what are you on? Did you take something? I hold his big head steady, feeling the fullness of his cheeks in my hands, looking into his familiar eyes, no matter how glazed and unfocused they are. Then I find myself throwing my arms around his neck and leaning into his body, the reality of the situation crashing down on me all at once. Amicus gasps in my ear, as if my touch suddenly makes him realize that I'm real, that I'm here. Clumsily, he starts to stand up, pulling me up with him. It's difficult because I don't let go, almost getting lifted off my feet before I settle on letting go for just a moment to hug him lower around his body, pressing my head to his chest, hearing his heart hammering inside. Finally, he was able to get a grip on me and push me away despite my intention to cling him forever. He holds me at arm's length, staring at me. I clutch his paws on my shoulders, staring up at him, feeling my eyes starts to water. Is this possible? No, please, I can't handle another hallucination. His expression keeps morphing from hopes and awe to devastation. I feel his paw grips into my shoulders tightly, almost painfully, as if it's to make sure I'm real. It's me. I woke up in the garden for some reason. I'm okay. I want to hug him again, but he keeps holding me away, looking me up and down, pushing my hair back and feeling my crusty skin. But how? I don't know. I just remember having a crazy dreams, then I was in the garden. As I'm talking, I think Amicus is finally believing it's me, and I notice that his body is starting to sway in a worrying manner. Amicus? I reach out to steady him, but as I do, his eyes roll back and I realize there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to keep a wolf over twice my height from toppling over. I try anyways, wrapping my arms around him as Amicus falls backward, his bulk pulling me down with him before he falls back first onto the bedside table, sending bottles flying while his upper back and head smashes into the wall. My fall is absorbed by his much softer front, but the sound is loud, the room shaky and probably waking up the entire palace. Waking the wolf up the second time is a lot easier, probably because he fainted rather than passed out from too much wine. We're at least able to move onto the bed where Amicus sits cross-legged, pulling me onto his lap and just holding me there, his paws moving around my body, still trying to make sure I'm real. For a moment, we don't talk, the wolf just pressing his nose to my hair and breathing in deeply. I feel a little self-conscious knowing I must not smell very good right now, but that doesn't seem to bother Amicus as he goes on pressing his nose to my head and neck, taking in my scent. Finally, he does speak, but it's one word. That's cute. Oh. I turn my head towards the wolf, resting my cheeks against his neck. I don't know. I don't really even know what's happened to me. You got sick. So sick. You were having convulsions, brain and nerve damage. It was terrible. Amicus' arms tighten around me, his voice normally deep and strong now sounding weak and broken. This statement worries me though, and I have to wonder if I really am better. There seems to be patches missing from my memories, and I do feel different. Like I'm not fully myself, but I don't really want to think about it right now. I think I remember a little bit of that. I left my arms up, showing Amicus the shiny, crusty scabs on my arm. It was aviapox. I can't believe I didn't consider the possibility of disease and illness for you. I'm just so used to the idea of any new arrivals on Adastra going through that process. Obviously, we did it a bit different. Does it give me cute ideas for my writing? Huh? Yeah. And honestly, I'm not even sure I have you do it. I don't know if you react differently to those vaccinations. Each species has their own customized cocktail. And the avia-pox isn't included in the vaccination set. It's such a mild virus, we've never seen anyone react to the way you did, even other primates. I think back to how quickly I became sick, how quickly I almost died. I noticed Amicus looking down at me again, and I look back at him. What? Amicus shakes his head. I'm just trying to make sure you're here, that you're real. I'm afraid if I let go, if I even look away, you'll disappear. His arms tighten around me again, squeezing a huff of breath out of me. I guess it's supposed to be like Roman underwear, like what the Romans wore. Wait, there's a ad. I'm gonna wait. Can I end these emotes? What the fuck? What's the other one? What the fuck? There's more. I mean, I guess so. I guess they're pretty innocent. Also, I can see why you like this game, Kenny. Why? The underwear? I'm here, I promise. Well, I've had a lot of hallucinations. Too many stress tablets, I think. Stress tablets? Yes, quite a few of them, in fact. With wine? Ooh. Oh, yes. Amicus? I don't really know what these stress tablets are, but I imagine mixing space Xanax with alcohol is a horrible idea. I love tragedy. Aww. Don't worry, it gets worse. This is still like tame. Amicus doesn't seem bothered by my reprimand though. Instead, just snuggling closer to me, his crusted face fur prickling against my skin. Oh no, I don't think I can say this. I really love you, Kenny. I get that familiar swooping feeling in my chest like I'm on a roller coaster. I clutch onto his arms. I love you too. Amicus sighs and set his chin on my head. I thought I missed the opportunity to say it. I still can't believe you're real. Well, I am. I promise. But I still don't understand how. This shouldn't be possible. You were declared to be in permanent coma, no brain activity. I had to set you out in the gardens and only hope for a miracle. Miracle? Amicus lets out a shaky sigh, running his fingers through my hair. When a sapient falls into such a state, we simply let them fade away in a peaceful setting, or possibly recover if the parents allow it. Don't mention itai itai. No, don't mention that. Don't mention that doujinshi. I'm so mad. It was such a good story, and then the artist like just stopped. I'm like, no, I need my itai itai 4. Where's my itai itai 4? That fucking story is fucked up too. I hate it. I love it, but I hate it. I sat out there for a while, but couldn't bear to see you waste away, so I came back to my room to drink and prepare for the emperorship. I imagine Amicus laying those flowers around me, and I feel my heart break a little. It's a very short. It's a doujinshi. I think there's only like 3 chapters, but it's so much like nudity. I would not be able to stream it unless I do like a Discord stream, but I imagine Amicus laying those flowers around me and I feel my heart break a little. Did the parents come to you? Is that why you're here? I had hoped that they would. I shrug. I really can't. Was there a 4? I don't remember. It won't be finished. I think he like stopped. I don't think he's gonna make any more. But it, like ended in the most like I don't think about it. I really can't remember much. Does not matter. My prayers were answered. Praise the gods. Amicus starts to smother me again with his hugging. Little bits of imagined imagery from my dreams is starting to come back to me. Something that happened in space. Someone talking to me. And judging by the only human I know, your people full of surprises. But we can figure it out later. I just want to hold you right now. Okay. And Kenny, yeah? Please try to avoid mentioning that I lost consciousness when I saw you. Of course. So we sit there for a while longer while Amicus just sort of cuddles with me. After about an hour, we decided to move to the shower, considering the state we're both in. I'm going to I'm just in case I'm gonna cover it. I don't remember if there was like a nudity scene here or sex scene, but just in case, I'm gonna cover the bottom part because I don't want to risk it. I kind of don't remember. I don't know why I don't remember this part, but probably because I was crying. We showered together, taking turns scrubbing each other. The hot water really brings life back into my limbs, and those worrying tingles have faded to the point where I'm barely noticing them now. Amicus gently rubs at my crusted skin, and we're both surprised to see it come away, exposing a new, unblemished skin underneath. Okay, yeah, there's a pee-pee. Okay, good. I was right. Incredible, I never knew humans heal at such a rate. Yeah. I don't know if that's really the case, and my mind continues to wander back to the vague, hard-to-remember dreams I was having. Meanwhile, Amicus leans back against the wall as I rub soap into his front, smiling gently as I lather up his chest. I can't tell if he's still fairly drunk, but that doesn't stop his pee-pee from becoming fully erect between us, which I just pretend not to notice. His eyes widen as if he suddenly realized something. Wait, did anyone else notice you? I paused, both my hands cusping his sizable pecs. Yeah, actually Alex was in the garden and I talked to him. Just Alex? Yeah. Amicus seems to relax a bit. What did he say? Just seemed really surprised. Unsurprising. But he was acting a little weird. Amicus shrugs. He keeps things to himself for the most part. I'd be worried if he ran into Kato or Castis especially. I need to think of a way to explain this to them. This simian guise is becoming harder to keep up. I'm about to mention more about Alex's demeanor, but that's when Amicus just started hugging me again, his pee-pee hot and firm crushing between us as he does. I don't care though, and Amicus doesn't seem to either. I don't understand any of this right now, but as long as it's real, I don't care. For some reason, it's weird for me to like, because it says like cock and penis, and like saying those words on self, I'm fine. But like reading it, like in the context, I'm like, ooh, that's a little too much. So excuse me if I have to downgrade the words a bit for my comfortability. I can't. I don't know why. It just seems awkward. It's like watching porn with your friends. But when I change the words a bit, it doesn't feel as awkward. Oh no, it's just me. All this time I've been doing that, but they've been using the word like cock and penis, but for some reason when it becomes like a full-on sentence, I just can't say it. It feels so good like this. His wet fur slicked down tightly to his thick body, which presses against me perfectly. Amicus finally shuts off the water and we're blasted with hot air. I'm dried in less than a minute and I stumble out and try to find my poofy hair in the mirror while Amicus stands in the shower stall for a little while longer. Call his dick a whiz, waz, pickle spaz. Okay, next time I'll do that. I think there's a sex scene coming though. That'd be kind of weird, but I'll do that. Whiz, was, pickle, spaz. Okay. After another few minutes, I watch him step out and come up behind me to nuzzle my ears, embrace me once again. He really can't keep his paws off of me, but I completely understand why. He starts nudging me out into the bedroom before turning me around to face him, lowering his face to mine, and I finally realize where this is going. But I'm a virgin. It feels so sudden, especially after everything that happened. I think we could use more time to adjust, but I kiss back anyways. We've kissed a few times before, but only with our lips. Now, his tongue presses against my mouth and I only hesitate for a moment before letting it in. His thinner, longer tongue caressing mine with a surprisingly nimble strength. I thought it would be kind of hard to make out with the way his muzzle is shaped, but Amicus makes it happen, his lips clamping around my mouth as we kiss deeper. Quick, use the new 7TV emote. That's what they're doing. I'm amazed at how bold he's being, and I wonder if it's me because he's still pretty inebriated. He cradles my head gently, walking me backwards slowly, his whiz was pickle spaz poking against my groin and thighs occasionally until I come against the bed. Gently, he lowers me down to rest on my back, both paws coming to press on either side of my shoulders while he looms over me, grinning before he pauses. Is this okay? I can't take it seriously. I think. I mean, are you okay? We can wait until tomorrow when you're less drunk. What is the main character saying? Snap out of it. We take pity sex. We take them. He grins again. I've been wanting to do this for so long to show you how much I love you. Amicus leans down, nuzzling my neck. I thought I missed that chance. I can't tell you how much dark these past 3 days have been for me. I ran out of tears yesterday. Oh. Amicus looks away for a moment. I'm not going to miss that chance now. I reach up and hold his head steady again before I lean up to kiss him. This may be alcohol-fueled. It may be sudden, but after everything that's happened, after what Amicus has been through, I want us to be able to do this before anything else happens. Red flags, red flags. He huffs loudly through his nose, the burst of hot air tickling my face as he falls to the bed, rolling to the side to pull me on top of him. His massive, soft body cushions me like it always does, rising and falling with his quickened breath. His kissing becomes more and more aggressive as he lets out little growl and snarls. All the reservation I had about having sex with an alien wolf falls away at that moment. Chotto matte. Let me, just in case, just okay, because I remember now. After everything that's happened, especially after almost dying, I just don't care anymore. We grind against each other, both of us hard now as we just explore the other body, his giant paws sliding up and down my sides while I do the same to him. Eventually I sit up, straddling his waist, looking around at him, just sort of taking him in. Again, he has a silly grin on his face, his paws on my thighs, kneading at the skin and the muscle. You're beautiful. That makes me laugh. Beautiful? Well, you're adorable. Amicus raises an eyebrow. I'm not sure that's the correct descriptor for the next emperor of Adastra. I lean forwards and aggressively rub at his belly, his weak spot, immediately neutralizing his snark as his paws flop back above his head, eyes almost rolling with pleasure before he squeezes them shut. He reads an arch around my hands, leaning into the rub as I slide my hands up to his chest, then all the way down to his lower stomach. When that happens, I feel his whiz-waz pickle snares jump against my rear, making me realize how hard I'm getting him. I'm getting the same way as I make the strong, thick body below me undulate with pleasure. Please just... His head rolls from side to side, tongue flopping back and forth, and when I giggle at him, that seems to finally bring him out of his trance. He growls and grips my arms. That is cheating. With that, he rolls me over, easily reversing our position as he mounts me, pinning my hands above my head with one paw. With his other, he tried to rub at my stomach, which makes me laugh and squirm until he finally lets off. That doesn't work on primates. Seemed like it worked well to me. He lets go of my hand and leans down to nuzzle at my face, his cold nose exploring my chin, cheeks, and forehead. He then starts to adjust his positioning before he suddenly stops, looking up at me. His ears lower and I can tell that he's embarrassed. What? Do you humans, for males, do you go through the rear? Oh, I think about that. That would be expected the route, but looking at Amicus's length, the wolf follows my gaze and look even more embarrassed. We don't have to. I don't want to hurt you, of course. I prop myself up on my elbow, looking between the two of us. Yeah, maybe some other time. You're kinda thick. Amicus smirks. Thank you. He starts adjusting himself again, squatting as he sort of waddles up so that our pee-pee are parallel to each other. Maybe this. He slowly lowers himself until we make contact. Oh, okay. It's okay. I could probably show a little more. There you go. That's all you get. He's squatting for us. Oh my gosh, he's squatting for us, guys. Hey, Sinahi. Good timing. We're having sex with a big wolf right now. And he's pressing his whiz-waz pickle snaz onto our whiz-waz pickle snaz. Yeah. Wait, he's bothering me? We love versus king. Well, technically we're not doing any tops or we're not topping or bottoming because well, he wants to top, but his size is a little too big, and I didn't prepare, that takes some time to prepare to like let something big in. So yeah, we're not topping or bottoming, but remember that for later because there is going to be something that's happening regarding topping and bottoming, which is such a big decision. Oh, wait, is that what you're calling his penis? Yeah, was pickle snaps. I thought it will help create a better illusion of the situation that we're in, It's just they're playing Star Wars. I can totally relate. But when we get to that part, we should make a poll. But when I make a poll, I will have to explain what it really means for Amicus to top and bottom. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Why did I leave at the super spicy part? No, Marie. The feeling and sight of his electric, the hot flesh of his pee-pee pressing against mine firmly. Out of sight, I feel his furry balls come to rest gently on top of mine, the soft forms molding together easily. Amicus pauses there, smiling down at me gently as he rests both paws to either side of my head. You have to excuse my ignorance. I'm not sure how humans might copulate. He wiggles his hips, causing his length to slide from side to side on top of mine, and I had to stifle a gasp. I think it's about the same from what I saw. Amicus frowns for a moment as he realizes what exactly it is I am referencing, but quickly recovers as he leans down to kiss me once again. Once he finished, I smile back up. I smile back up at him. But you know, I would say the main character, his pee-pee is kind of big too. I'm packing. I'm not sure if he's a virgin or not. We don't really explore the main character as much. When I think about it, I don't know if he ever had a experience with anyone. But yeah, this is fine. I rest my hands on his knees, noticing how he's balancing most of his considerable weight in a squat. Are you comfortable though? That looks like a workout. Heh, Kato works me a lot harder than this, Kenny. Amicus frowns again as he realizes how that could be interpreted. I mean, he makes me do a lot of squatting exercise. I'll just consider this extra practice. I reach out and feel the wolf's chest and belly while he speaks again, marveling at how powerful it all is. Amicus chuckles and arch out a bit to give me a better feel, taking deep breaths and puffing out his chest. He shudders as I rub at his nipples, then nubs of flesh hardening instantly. So now that you're comfortable. Tentatively, Amicus reaches down with his left paw and carefully lifts my length from my stomach to press against his. This time I let out a little gasp. Being squeezed together like this, sending a jolt of pleasure up from my pee-pee through my body and into my brain. Immediately my skin breaks out into goosebumps as I shiver to Amicus' touch, his gentle but all-enveloping paw feeling so good right now. He starts off slowly at first, beginning to jerk us both off in the small, quick motions. I can tell that he's being overly careful with me, so I jerk my hips up against him, encouraging more. He seems to get the hint and he picks up speed, giving the two of us deeper, faster strokes that makes me grip at the bedsheets on either side of me, staring at the ceiling as I let out soft pants and groans. Amicus gets more and more into it, already leaking all over my own pee-pee as he pumps his paw, bicep bulging with the effort. I've been jerked off by others before. Oh. But Amicus' paws really is something else. Of course, it's big, but the soft, squishy pad on his palms and fingers add to the pleasure, giving me a texture that I've never felt before. Interesting. The wolf starts to thrust his powerful hips into stroking, making the bed squeaks and shake. Again, his strength is evident in how he practically moves my entire body with each thrust. The idea that he's holding back is turning me on even more. I feel his heavy sack bouncing on top of mine. My knees jerk up with each thrust, and each time they do, I feel his large rear and slam up against them, its furry form tight and clenched. I'm getting close. He pants out over my head, a drop of drool dripping down onto my cheek. I start to thrust up against him in earnest, wanting to match his climax. At this point, we're almost bouncing on the bed with how hard the wolf is humping against me, forgetting his strength in the moment. I don't mind though, not really caring how sore I'm going to be tomorrow as the pleasure overtakes me. It hits me over at once and I reach up to put a hand against his face, letting him know that he takes that as a signal to let go as well. I feel it in his entire body, the wolf tensing up, muscle tightening, standing out through the fur on his tight stomach and chest. I see his face then as he balances on the edge of climax, eyes wide and looking towards the ceiling, mouth hanging open in a look of pure awe. I feel it in his pee-pee too, and at the same time we're both pushed over the edge. I groan, something I don't usually do, but the build-up, the situation, the feeling is all too much. It's drowned out by the sound that Amicus makes though. He practically sags over me, letting out a bassy, rumbling moan of ecstasy. Hearing the masculine deep voice making a sound of such pleasure spurs on another spasm from my pee-pee. I think the same happens to Amicus because he suddenly hunches forward again, muzzle right next to my ear as he groans out again, his hot rush of breath on the side of my face making me shudder. The big wolf continues to thrust against me in time with the spurts from his pee-pee, the look on his face now one of goofy pleasure, his long tongue dripping out to my chest. His climax goes on for several seconds longer than mine, and I watch as he spurts over my stomach over and over until finally he collapsed down against me, his fur damp with sweat. I wrap my arms around him as he heaves for breath, feeling his body expand and contract against mine. He nuzzles against my head, his stomach flattens against mine, against the mess we've made. There's a lot of mess there. We're going to have to take another shower. Even though I'm a bit out of breath, I'm kind of amused at how much Amicus is gasping, sounding like he just ran a marathon. He really did put everything into that. You... I hold his head against mine, turning to kiss him on the cheek. Me? You are incredible. Thanks. You're really something too. A good something? A very good something. We lay there quietly for a moment. Amicus propping himself up a bit on his knees and elbows so his entire weight doesn't rest on top of me. How are your legs? Burning. Probably the most intense exercise my thighs have ever been through, but it was worth it. Again, we lay there quietly as Amicus just sort of strokes my hair. I'm still terrified that this is a dream. I hug him more tightly to my body, almost forcing him to fall on top of me. I'm here, and I'll be here in the morning when you wake up. Red flags. You better, otherwise I'll never forgive you. His speech slurs a bit as he whispers into my ear. I look at him. So exactly how drunk are you? The wolf shrugs, slowly rolling off of me, cold air hitting the fluids on my stomach. I'm fairly sober now. Shall we wash up? He reaches out a paw and I take it, slightly surprised as he pulls me up to be carried in his arms like I'm his new bride. We go to the shower and wash up again, even more slowly than we did the first time. When we come back to the bed, Amicus continues to dot over me, hardly ever letting me go at any point. I can tell that he's legitimately worried that this isn't real, and I feel the same way. After everything that's happened, this doesn't seem possible. Eventually, I lay in the bed next to him, and he spoons me tightly against his body. He's extremely warm, but with no blankets and cold air drifting down on top of us, it's perfect. Pretty soon, I'm drifting off to sleep, listening to the wolf's soft snore in my ear. Thankfully, I don't dream. I think now... Oh, wait. Just to make sure. Get up! I jump at the same time. I feel Amicus jolt against me. We both struggle to sit up while pulling the covers up around us. Get out of the bed. The jarring appearance of Kato has me staring at him in surprise, unsure what to do. Amicus immediately moves, though, pulling me off the bed with him, standing slightly in front of me as he hands me the blanket to cover myself up. We both stare at Kato, the old wolf actually shaking with fury. Make yourself decent, Amicus. Amicus hurriedly snatches up an underwear from the dresser, giving me one of my own as well. As I'm struggling to tie mine on, I notice Cassius standing in the doorway, something shiny and flashing with lights in his paws. He doesn't have the usual sour look on his face, though. Instead, he almost looks scared. Kato let us stand in the silence for a moment before turning his head towards the door. Felix, enter. I hear shuffling around in the hallway, and Cassius moves to the side to allow a neatly rolled wolf to enter. He looks about as old as Kato, though nowhere near as big. He moves timidly, looking about with his ears down. Yes, your Imperial Majesty. Is that the alien you treated for the avian pox? Kato jerks his head at me, keeping his eyes on Felix. Felix turns to look at me, and I can't tell if he's trying to think of the right thing to say. Finally, he just gulps and nods his head. Yes, I treated him 3 nights ago for the avian pox. And in this species had no profile? No, I could only tell that he was a primate. How is he conscious? Calm. Escort Felix to the dungeons. Yes, Kato. What? Why? Why to the dungeons? Your Majesty! Felix looks imploringly at Kato before the probes enter. Proceed to the hall or risk being shot, Felix. Please, what is happening? Even while he speaks, Felix backs away out of the room. Kato completely ignores him. We all listen to the doctor's stumbling step out into the echoing hall, the wolf making an attempt to ask Cassius what's happening before things fall silent again. Cassius, come in and close the door. I think I could show this part now. Nothing should be showing. Cassius, looking even more scared now, steps inside and allows the door to close. Kato stares at the two of us. At this point, Amicus has one paw on my arm, keeping me firmly halfway behind his back. I'm still able to look around his shoulder at the furious acting Emperor. Slowly, I'm starting to realize what might be happening right now, and Kato's next words confirm it. Amicus, did you make first contact? Amicus silence for a beat, but responds in a strong, confident voice. No, of course not. What in the world are you talking about, Kato? Kato stares, jaw clenched, and screamed at us at a volume I didn't think he was capable of. Do not play games with me, Amicus. To his credit, Amicus only jumps a little bit, his grip still firmly on my arm. The silence that follows rings in my ears as Kato seems to work to calm himself down. When he speaks again, his voice is barely above a whisper. He is unprofiled. All children, abandoned or not, are profiled. He is not a simian. What is he? Amicus is frozen. I feel my stomach drops like I'm going to piss myself. I see Kato working his jaw. And is it true that he's your lover? Lover? How would he know anything about that? Amicus doesn't answer this time, and that seems to be enough for Kato. Fine, do not answer. We will take the correct precautions. Calm. Yes, Kato? Terminate Kenny. No! Amicus simultaneously throws himself in front of me while reaching back and hugging me to him with both paws, backing me against the wall. How would you know? Maybe they heard all the groans and moans last night. Jerome begins to enter the bedroom, but Kato barks out another order. Pause last directive. Pausing last directive. My view is obscured now, but I can hear Amicus' heavy breathing, his heart hammering so hard I can feel it through his back. Once again, get out of here, bro. Get out. Out. Shoo. This is not for your eyes. I'm on the stream. I thought you were streaming. Are you done streaming? Are you done streaming? Oh yeah, you're done streaming. Plans tonight? But you have no friends. Friends. But anyway, yeah, get out of here. Get out of here. Enjoy your plans, bro. Once again, Kato allows the silence to stretch out before speaking. Then tell us the truth, Amicus. You must not harm him, otherwise I will give you nothing, and I'll have you thrown in the dungeon when I become emperor. More silence. I wince, wondering how that could possibly be the right thing to say. Then I hear a low growling sound, one I'm sure is coming from Kato. How dare you? You think you'll become emperor after this? In fact... I hear a quick movement, and the next thing I know, Amicus is wrenched from in front of me. I watch as he slides across the floor before Kato pounces on him, pinning him there. Cassius, grab the alien. Set the nerval to lethal. No, please! I'm frozen, but I manage to look over at Cassius, who seems to just as frozen as I am, holding up the nerval in his trembling paws. Move, you idiot! Cassius jumps and hurries over to me. I start to pull away, but he grabs me up in an awkward hold, setting the Nervo against my neck. No! Amicus struggles double, and Kato's bucked around like he's on a mechanical bull. See, struggling Amicus. He will not be harmed if you do as I say. Amicus seems to calm down a bit at that, panting wetly against the floor as he looks straight at me, face full of desperation. You're proving yourself to be an incompetent fool, even more so than I originally thought. You endangered our entire empire. For this you will not become emperor. Rules be damned. It's a wonder how you thought you'd get away with this. It could only be a miracle that the monsters have not found out, and they surely would if you would become emperor with that thing. Kato stands and wrenches Amicus to his feet, twisting the other wolf's paws behind his back hard enough that Amicus lets out a bark of pain. The third trial begins today. You will lose, and Cassius will become emperor. Kato begins to push Amicus to the doorway. Do as I say, and I will let the alien live. Otherwise, we can do all this in the most unpleasant way possible. Understand? Amicus is quiet until Kato shakes him by his pinned arms. Ah! Yes! Good. Now to the amphitheater. We'll do this quickly. Do not make any stupid moves, otherwise I'll let these drones escort you instead. Kato presses Amicus towards the door. I see Amicus glance back at me, the look on his face one of utter helplessness. They're out the door by the time Cassius realizes he's supposed to be following. He jumps before awkwardly pushing me after them. It's already sunset when we get to the amphitheater. We must have slept for the most of the day. Amicus and Kato are already standing in the center of the amphitheater as Cassius struggles to move me down the steps. Sit him down, Cassius, and get down here. Shakily, Cassius plants me down on one of the stone steps before suddenly undressing. That's when I notice that he's tucked the Nervo into his waistband. Possibly because of the frantic nature of the whole situation, Cassius seems to have forgotten it, and I watch it fall into his clothes as he drops it from his waist. He then stumbles his way down to the center. Amicus, meanwhile, stands stiffly next to Kato. His paws clench, and I feel my heart sink as I look on his face. He has no idea what to do. Several camera drones have followed us to the amphitheater, their lights glowing on ominous red. For several moments, Kato watches them arrange themselves around the small theater, their lens flashing in the fading light. Kato. What, Cassius? There was no trial scheduled for today. How will this be broadcast anywhere? This will not be live. I'll think of a reason to tell the people later. We only need a single clip of you being victorious. They will never believe this. Though Amicus is putting on a brave face, I can hear his voice shaking. Pugnu is a combination of skill and luck. It's not always the strongest that wins. We will manage. And how... Kato suddenly whirls on Amicus, throwing a punch so hard into his jaw that the other wolf spins almost 360 degrees, before collapsing on the hard floor of the amphitheater. I'm standing up without even remembering doing so, heart hammering in my throat as I look down at Amicus. He doesn't move. Meanwhile, Kato shakes his paw lightly, like he only stung a little bit. Cassius, on the other hand, is clasping both his ears in his paws, staring down at his brother in a mix of shock and horror. Kato, what are you doing? Making it look more authentic is all. Amicus stirs on the ground, then groaning and pushing himself up. I see dark spots forming under his face, blood dripping from his nose. A camera drone drifts down slowly, filming Amicus as he spit blood. I realize then that I have to do something. I've been told to sit on the sidelines for far too long, and I'm not entirely convinced that I'm going to be okay after this. I'm a risk to the entire empire. Why would Kato let me live after I'm done being useful? I have to do something. So I quietly sit back down and lean over to reach into Cassius' pile of clothes, quickly finding the Nervo and pulling it out. Then I stand back up again to take a step downwards, and no one seems to notice. Come on, Amicus, get up. You need to grapple with Cass. Why did we just use makeup instead? There's no time. Kato finally bends down to grab Amicus under the arms and heave him up to the feet. The big wolf left to stumble unsteadily, blood running down his chin. Cassius, get Amicus in the ankle lock and drop him. That should be enough. They set up their scene, even though Amicus seems almost completely out of it. All of them are distracted, and I realize that this might be my only chance. Slowly, I take one step at a time down towards the center of the amphitheater. Meanwhile, Cassius is struggling to pick up Amicus' legs, almost losing his own balance as he does. After that, Kato tells Amicus to fall back, which the wolf does, slowly. Cassius pins him on the ground, and after that, and I don't think it looks convincing at all. But that doesn't really matter now, as I'm only a few steps from the ground floor. Now, stand and raise your paw in victory, Cass. Look proud. At this moment, things start to move in slow motion. Amicus is flat on his back, but he's looking right at me. There's a questioning look in his eyes and a pleading one as if urging me to step back. I don't. Instead, I take the final step down to the floor of the amphitheater, just behind Cassius, moving towards Kato. But the white wolf continues to celebrate his pretend victory, and he turns with raised paws to face me. I see the sudden recognition on his face. I ran out of option and jammed the nerve right to his chest. Instantly, Cassius shot backwards several feet to crumble next to Amicus, shivering and convulsing. Before I can even turn to Kato, though, the old wolf is on me, grabbing the nerve out of my hand and pulling me close by the front of my robes, my teeth clacking together with how fast he does it. He's looking at the nerve rather than me, though. Damn it! Thank the gods the idiots didn't have it set on lethal. Kato fiddles with the device and I realize he's about to use it on me. I struggle, kicking at the massive wolf, but he's strong. Stronger than even Amicus. But just as he flips the device around, the two metal prongs pointed at my face, I see a paw come over the top of Kato's head. Amicus grips into the metal grating of Kato's face mask, fingers locking into the gaps before he pulls. Kato screams and I hear a horrible mix of crunching, tearing, and an electronic hiss as I see red spurts from the old wolf's face for just a moment before he goes down. Amicus stares at me with wide eyes as he tries to keep Kato pinned. Kenny, run! Run to Neferu, run! I stare at Amicus numbly for a moment in which I want to do so much but can't, then turn and start to run. I run as fast as I can, disappearing behind the trees and bushes, just as I hear Kato yelling for Calm to execute me. Hearing that, my whole body numbs up. I can barely feel my feet hitting the ground, popping my arm as I tear through the garden. I don't even bother with the paths, instead crashing through the foliage and bushes, scratching up the skin of my arms and legs as I tramp over something covered in thorns. I don't even care as I run straight through a 10 feet wide spider web, the massive spider in the middle hitting my chest and falling and disappearing under my feet. Ito-san. The sound of Kato and Amicus struggling behind me has long since faded. Now all there is my heavy breathing and snapping and crashing of the plants around me. I wonder if maybe I should stop making noise, try to hide instead, but I worry that Calm will know exactly where I'm at. I know they're following me right now, and honestly I can't hear a damn thing. I can't see them either, just the flashes of branches and greeneries around me. When I finally make it to the main path to the palace, I catch my first glimpse of the drones. They're hovering further up the path towards the amphitheater. It makes me wonder if they're stuck on the grid somehow and have been unable to follow me into the actual garden. I think about turning back and trying to hide in the gardens again just as I rush through the entrance, but I realize immediately that they're too close. Sure enough, I hear a crack behind me just as I turn the corner in the main hall towards Neferu's room. I get a glimpse of it out of the corner of my eye. I'm not sure what I expected the weaponry to be. A red laser, an arc of electricity, actual bullets maybe? What I do see is a strange bending of the air and space I just been a second ago. Look like looking through a warped piece of glass before suddenly it snaps back into place, making my ears pop and throwing my body sideways. I stumble, but I don't stop. Neferu's room just a few dozen feet ahead of me. Now I can hear the drones and all angry buzzing like wasps. Halt, Kenny. I hear Calm's gentle, calm voice, a stark contrast to what he's actually doing right now. It startles me and I put on an extra burst of speed just before I reach Neferu's door. I can only hope that he's there, otherwise I'm going to be cornered. It'll be where I die. With my breath wheezing through my throat, I throw a hand out, desperately pressing on the black panel on the door. Nothing. It doesn't open, it's locked. I thought doors don't lock here. I see the drones out of the corner of my eyes and I pound on the door as hard as I can, screaming as loud as I can. Neferu! Neferu, help! There's a pause and I hear something to my right that sounds like static getting louder and louder, and I press myself against the door waiting for whatever it is the blast will do to me. Then I'm falling through space. I'm convinced that I've died, that this falling sensation is what it's like to die. Would I land on something or just fall forever? I get my answer almost immediately as I hit the ground face first on the hard marble floor. I'm dazed as there is a sharp crack behind me and I feel the force of it sending a gust of air over me. Ahotep. Neferu's voice yelps above me, and I hear the sound of the door sliding shut. Calm, what is going on? Disengage your door security measures, Neferu. What's happening? Neferu is crouching over me now, and he's about to talk. He's talking to me, but Calm answers him instead as the jackal starts to help me to my feet. The child is to be terminated. Please disengage security to allow drone entry. What? No. Kenny, what's happening? Neferu has pulled me to my feet at this point, looking at right in my eyes. I find myself way more out of breath than I thought I was as I tried to gasp out an answer. Amicus. Lost. Emperorship. Neferu, open the damn door. Kato's voice crackles through the speakers above me, making me jump. It's strained and breathing heavily, and I wonder what he's doing right now. What Amicus is doing. The jackal pushes me back to stand behind him, keeping myself between me and the door. Even though he's got his face to set into a stern glare, he's as calm as he always is. Kato, what a pleasant surprise to hear your voice. May I ask why you want entry into my quarters? The Emperor's quarters, you dog. Calm, override the door's security. Overriding security. There's a hiss and a click from the door and suddenly it slides open. Quickly, Neferu backs into me, much like Amicus did earlier this morning, and I find myself pressed into one of the pillars, the jackal's body almost entirely covering me up. Although I know Amicus is a good deal bigger than Neferu, I'm still struck by the jackal's size now that he's so close to me. Step aside, Neferu, or risk being shot. Don't shoot the jackal! Neferu, what are you doing with it? Kato's breathing heavily and it sounds like he's moving around. Can't see a damn thing. Have you called the ship? Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. There's more muffled moving around and I wonder what Kato's speaking into. Maybe a drone? Neferu, I asked you a question. Simply protecting a fellow Kimian. There's a moment of silence. What? A Kimian. Neferu enunciates very slowly and I look up at the back of his head, just as confused as Kato. Ah, don't press so damn hard, cat. What do you mean, Neferu? Kato's voice takes on a more growly tone as he turns his attention from whatever he was doing back on us. I mean that the child has been granted citizenships in this Kimian kingdom, and it would be unwise to attack him. Neferu's voice takes on an almost smug tone. An attack on him would be an attack on all of us. Surely you understand this, Emperor. You lie! Would you like to test that? There's a long pause. In the meantime, a low rumbling sound grows, audible not only through the intercoms, but through the floor of the palace as well. The ship is arriving, Your Imperial Majesty. Yes, I can see that, cat. Neferu. Another long pause. We will discuss this further once I'm back in the palace. I don't know what you and Amicus have planned, but know that I'll be keeping a very close eye on you. That creature is not to leave the palace. The wolf suddenly grunts, and I can hear the voices of the other wolves as well. I'm fine. Just get me to a hospital. There are more sounds of movements, grunting, cursing, and the voices of concerns before the wolf speaks to us again. And remember, you have no way off this moon at the moment. It would be wise to do as I say. Of course, Your Majesty. Kato grunts. Calm, cancel that directive. Execute Kenny if he tries to leave the palace. Yes, Kato. The connection suddenly cuts off and the two of us are left to stand in silence. Finally, Nefer lets out a long, soft sigh. Damn. The jackal finally takes a few steps forward before turning to face me. Let's go, I love Neferu. He's MVP. Well, this situation is less than ideal. I received news that you somehow rose from the dead last night, and now this. Come, send us the physician. Okay, I'm back house of sex. It was hot and spicy, and sticky substances flew everywhere. Even though I've caught my breath at this point, I realize that I'm sweaty and covered in scratches. Cannot comply with directive. Felix is currently in the dungeon. What? Why? Oh shit. Under the orders of the Emperor, Neferu. Damn. This time Jackal says out of amazement rather than annoyance. Well, sand bandages in the salve at least. Yes, Neferu. Kenny, what happened? Where's Amicus? After a few more deep breaths, I began to go over everything that just happened, starting at the point where we were woken up by Cato and ending where I attacked Cassius and made a run for Neferu's room. I tried to keep things vague, like Cato just decided Amicus was unfit for the job and wanted to illegally put Cassius on the throne. But of course Neferu immediately realized I'm leaving things out. Then why does he want you executed? It seems odd he suddenly decided to do all this now. I hesitate, and it's at this moment that the door slides open, causing me to jump and cower as a drone enters. Steady, Kenny. It's just the medical supply I requested. Have a seat on the bed. There are 2 beds, but the jackal gestures at the smaller one. Dumbly, I point this out to him. Why do you have 2 beds? As I sit, Neferu sets the supplies all laid out on a metal tray to the side, uncorking a bottle and dipping a brush into it. He then starts to apply a dark orange liquid to the cuts on my arms and legs. Well, one for the Emperor, and interesting enough, this is one for the Emperor's pet. Lift your arms. I do as he says, still feeling numb as he starts to coat a rather deep cut on the underside of my arm. Can we go find Amicus? Where is Amicus, Com? That information is confidential and only accessible by the Emperor Neferu. Emperor Neferu. I see the jackal's eyes narrow as my stomach twists. What does that mean? Could mean any number of things. I clutch my hands together, feeling my anxiety grow. But is he alright? What if Cato did something to him? Neferu rests a paw on my shoulder. I understand you're worried for Amicus' safety, but also understand that Cato would not even think of taking Amicus' life. Your wolf is likely in prison somewhere after what he did. That doesn't make me feel all that much better, but I manage to hold still as the jackal continues to treat me. After a period of silence though, Neferu sighs. So at this point, it seemed we're in a rather precarious situation. I promised Amicus that if something happened to him, I would do everything in my power to keep you safe. Neferu pauses and only continues when I look up to me as eyes. It would seem that what he worried about has come to pass, and now I must carry out that promise. But to do that, I need you to be more honest with me so that I may know exactly what we are dealing with. I gaze at Neferu for a while, wondering how much is at stake right now. The events of the past hours have left me emotionally drained, a numb aside from a twisting anxiety of wondering what's happening to Amicus right now. I feel myself deflate. Amicus made first contact with me. Cato found out. I wait for a moment, wondering if the jackal is just going to toss me out in the hall after learning such a terrible secret. But when Neferu doesn't say anything, I look up. I guess I expected to see a look of shock or even horror on the jackal's face, but it's mostly just look annoyed. You know, I had suspected such a thing considering all the odd quirks you possess, but I had also thought that even Amicus would not be so foolish enough to do it. I feel myself grow a little defensive. Hey, he didn't know. We'd been contacted by the wolves before, but we lost the history of it somehow. Even so, he should have taken more care. That's in the past now, however. We must focus on the present. Aren't you worried about getting in trouble? Me? Why would I be worried? It's an unauthorized first contact like really, really bad? Well, yes, but I'm not the one that committed the crime. The burden rests on Amicus and on the wolves. I'm merely here to help a sapient that I did not know was an uncontacted alien. Nefaris starts to wrap the bandages around the deepest cut of my arms. And how did I become a citizen? I authorized at the embassy shortly after the deal I made with Amicus. You were never officially his pet, thus never a member of the Empire. We thought it was best to simply grant you citizenships in the meantime. You can just do that? Well, yes, I am the son of the Pharaoh. Don't I have to sign something or something? Amicus says, no, we're not moving on yet. It has been taken care of. How? Again, son of the Pharaoh. I sit in silence for a while, trying to comprehend all this while still worrying about Amicus. Can we find out where Amicus is? We will shortly. How? Even if it's supposedly a secret, word spreads fast in these halls. Why are you helping me? This is all so crazy. I've told you before, Kenny. It is the duty of the Kimians to help a sapient in distress. I stare at the jackal. Huh? And why else? The fairy smiles gently at me. Despite our past interactions, I consider Amicus a friend. You are very important to him, and I see it as my duty to keep you safe. And would it be strange that I consider you a friend as well? Friend? Does this have to do with the alliance? The fairy continues to smile. I suppose there are a few other reasons. Those reasons are pretty easy to figure out. Keeping and protecting will keep Amicus happy, and Amicus knowing that Nefaru did that will make the alliance more likely, assuming we get out of this mess. Obviously Nefaru won't say, but knowing this is most likely the main reason actually makes me feel a little better. I don't have to worry that the jackal has some other nefarious plan in store for me. Virginia requested access to your quarter, Nefaru. And here might be the answer to your earlier questions. Granted, calm. The door slides open, revealing Virginia. She doesn't look happy. Immediately, she stalks into the room, eyes on me glaring. I wonder what exactly it is she's waiting for, then the door slides shut. What in the name of the Romanus have you done, alien? Nefaru chuckles. Easy, Virginia. He's been through quite a lot in the past hour. Easy. Cassius and Cato are in the hospital. Amicus is in the dungeon. Cassius has become the emperor. Our plans are in ruins, Nefaru. The wolf folds her arms and walks around slowly so that she can better look at me. What happened? My first instinct is to stay quiet, cross my eyes in that dull, vacant stare and pretend not to understand. But then I realize I don't have to do that anymore. I come to this realization after the second trial, but now that everything has fallen apart, now that I actually have some protection, I find myself bristling at the she-wolf accusing stare. Cato's a complete monster. He staged a third trial so that Amicus will lose. I used a nerve on Cassius and should have done the same to Cato. Then Amicus ripped his visor off. Virginia gives me a look of surprise, probably not expecting me to be so honest. Or maybe she just shocked at how brutal things got. She then looks at Nefaru, who nods in response. But why? That's when I hesitate again, but again I feel like it doesn't matter much anymore. Amicus made first contact with my species. What? The wolf looks horrified, bringing a paw to her muzzle. Now this is the kind of reaction I expected. Why would he do such a thing? I don't know. His research on my planet told him otherwise, I think. Virginia just stares at me and then looks away towards the door. Honestly, knowing your brother is not all that surprising. I know my brother's an idiot. I did not know he's psychotic. And I really bristle. The idiot thing might be kind of true, but talking about Amicus like this after everything that happened, while he's sitting in the dungeons, wherever those are, it makes me angry. Hey, he had no reason to believe we weren't part of the Galaxias. The library or archives or whatever told him that we were. He just panicked and rushed things when he found out the truth. Nefaru and Virginia stares at me, looking unconvinced. I sigh. So, where are the dungeons? Is he okay? Can I see him? Virginia paces around to the side, staring into the fountain. He was stunned by a drone, but was conscious as he was escorted. The dungeons are under the palace, possibly just under our feet. I look down automatically at the marble floor, picturing the wolf sitting down there. Can I see him? Obviously not. Kato has allowed access only for himself. The authority will be passed on to Cassius when he becomes emperor. I continue to stare at the floor. I feel better now that I know that he's still at least alive. But I want to see him. I need to see him. So, what do we do now? I look up to see Virginia talk to Neferu. I'm working on it. This will take time to sort out. And it was all going so well. As it often does before it falls apart. What are you talking about? Virginia glances at me and mouths surprised like she forgot I was there. It's not concerning you, Kenny. You look injured. Why don't you rest? I stand up. Look, I think by now you should know that I'm not some idiot slave for you to order me around. It was an act. I understand everything you say and I know all that you have on your own little agendas. I see Virginia bristling, but I just don't care anymore. But honestly, I don't really give a fuck what either of you want. I just want to help Amicus. So if that's the part of the plan you're talking about, then I want to know about it. The two aliens stares at me. Then the Pharaoh starts laughing. I cut him off. Stop acting like everything's so fucking amusing to you. This isn't funny. Amicus is in trouble, and even though he put me in this mess, he's the only one I know for sure that gives a damn about what happened to me. Thankfully, Jackal does stop laughing regarding me with those blue eyes. You're right, Kenny. I apologize. I was just not expecting such a powerful retort. I like it. He then turns to Virginia. He's part of this as much as we are. I believe he should know what we're up to. Virginia sniffs. Granting him Kimmy citizenship seems to have bolstered his boldness. I wonder if that was a mistake. It was necessary. Neferu then turns to me. Kenny, these plans were meant to be set in motion once Amicus become emperor. We both have interest in Amicus becoming emperor. We did not interfere during the trials, but we did plan to begin our work when it was all but confirmed he would become emperor. What interests? Well, it may come to no surprise that I wish to have an alliance. Virginia, on the other hand, Neferu glances at her. The wolf barely seems interested and shrugs her shoulder. To be his chief advisor. In the end, we both agree that Amicus would be the best to fulfill both our interests as opposed to Cassius. We simply agree to help each other accomplish these plans of ours. Interests. I guess that's the appropriate word to describe the most relationship hinges on this stupid empire. Do you even care that your brother's in the dungeons? Asked Virginia directly, surprising myself. Or do you just care about what interests you? Virginia scoffs at me and Neferu gives me what I can only imagine is a warning look. I care deeply about many things. What I don't care for is being lectured by an alien who does not understand the meaning of Wolven legacy. I don't say anything and Neferu coughs. Anyways, we have a plan to work together to see if there might be a way to redeem Amicus and place him on the throne. Already? Wait, did you already have plans to unseat Cassius if you won? Yes. I shake my head, realizing just how much of a facade this entire empire really is. Well, then I want to help. And what would you be able to do? While I never had a problem with Virginia while I was pretending to be a pet, I find talking with her directly to be rather unpleasant. But I guess it makes sense that she'd be bitter towards me. I'm technically the reason her brother's in the dungeon, and her chance of being an advisor is now zero under Cassius. Virginia may be right, Kenny. You're on unstable ground with Kato and Cassius, the two most powerful wolves on the moon. You should probably stay hidden in my quarters for the foreseeable future. I frown. All day, every day? Yes. I don't like the sound of that at all. Well, you could be useful when the third trial was truly staged. Obviously your words won't hold much weight, but if we can find footage to go along with it, we might be able to put a dent in Kato and Cassius' image. I look at Virginia, but she's already stalking off towards the door. Unfortunately, I have to attend a meeting in Kato's stead. For obvious reasons, we'll have to discuss all of this in depth later. As she reaches out for the black panel, I suddenly have an idea. Virginia! She doesn't say anything, but her ears perk. Could you talk to Cassius when he's emperor about letting me see Amicus? I just want to make sure he's okay. There's a short pause as the door opens before I see her nod her head. I'll see what can be done. With that, she steps out of the door and closes behind her. I'm left alone with the jackal, my new, well, not master. I guess more of a partner? He smirks at me. Try not to antagonize her too much in the future. She started it. I recognize that, and it was wise of you to put your foot down not only with her, but with me as well. But she's very, very smart, and it's essential we have her on our side. He's not wrong. I realized just before she left that she's basically my only connection to Kato and Cassius, both of whom I doubt would want to talk to me. Now, the jackal moves to the door himself, calling over his shoulder. Unfortunately, I also must have taken my leave. I am going to gather a bit of information from the city. I'll be back toward the end of the day. Again, try to stay inside this room. It's locked to everyone but the Emperor. With that, the jackal leaves the room as well, leaving me alone in the room. I lay back, wondering how things went so wrong so fast. I don't like any of this, and just like my first day on this moon, I feel out of place and completely out of my element. I just wish Amicus were here. I roll over, hugging the pillow as I try to fall asleep. Okay. I think I will end the story here though. Because things are gonna start moving. I'm sorry. I know I only did like maybe like an hour and 30 minutes ish of story, but a lot happened today. so much things happened today. But so much things are going to be happening.